body to live in, and you have to take care of it. The first thing is the proper form, and second thing, the feet muscles, they started getting stronger, and the third thing I noticed, the grounding effect.
Statistically, we know that less than 1% of world's population will ever run a marathon. Among that very small population, there are runners whose stories will leave you spellbound and make you wonder, how is it even possible?
Look at the Barefoot, no shoes. So
now, barefoot running comes with its own challenges.
in Berlin, on mile 18, I stepped on a glass piece. I'm Krishna Chinta. Berlin is my third barefoot marathon.
Hey listeners, I'm your host Kamal Dada. Enjoy the story. Welcome, Krishna, to this podcast. I'm very excited to have you here and actually learn about your running journey. Welcome.
Sure, yeah, thanks for having me, Kamal. It's an honor.
Great. So let's start with a little bit about your background.
So I'm originally from India and currently living in the United States in a place called Peoria, which is 3 hours south to Chicago. I am an engineer by profession, and distance running is my passion.
Oh, great. Definitely going to unpack a lot about that passion for sure.
Sure.
So let's start with your experience running Berlin this year. You just wrapped up Berlin a couple of weeks ago. How was your experience going in and overall running the Berlin Marathon this year?
Yeah, this is my first Europe visit, and I always wanted to run Berlin. Been planning for past 5 years, and finally it happened. So very exciting. The race was well organized. I love the crowd. I got a lot of extra cheering because of my barefoot runs. It was interesting to see the response and the way they were cheering. And the memorable moment was the way they were showing their kids when I was running barefoot, like look at the barefoot, no shoes. So it was a very interesting experience. And I like the after the run event, how it is organized. It was easy to reach the venue and in and out. Yeah, I like the Berlin race in general overall.
Oh, that's great. So yes, I'm definitely curious about your barefoot running and experience. How did you get into it? I think let's do this. Let's go back to your, how did it all started? How did you get into long distance running? And then probably you'll unpack how you evolved into barefoot running.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So when I came to United States back in 2002, I was very skinny. And here we have a lot of unhealthy choices you made, and I put on weight within a couple of months. I reached around 200 pounds within a year, from 150 to 200, which is a big leap. And I was not happy with the way my discipline, my everyday routine. And one day I came across a friend of mine who signed up for Chicago Marathon in 2007. I was like motivated, like, okay, this looks interesting. I never ran a mile before. So I also signed up just for kick of it.
Okay.
And it took, I think I signed up like 3 months before. So no zero training. And I started slowly. The things I started noticing during the journey, the training journey, is there is a lack of discipline and food choices, the lifestyle changes. So I started making those changes one step at a time. I started seeing my life changing completely. I started paying attention to what I eat, when I eat, how I eat, and I started liking the discipline. So the motivation can take you to only some distance, but the discipline takes you a long way.
Right.
And so the first marathon I ran in 2007, Chicago, it was terrible. It was 88 degrees that time, and they didn't have water in some stations. And even though the experience was terrible, but the journey took me to the training and all helped me to turn my life upside down. It helped me to get better. and there is no more discipline. It's more of a lifestyle. So this improved lifestyle helped me to grow professionally, because all these skills I learned, they can transform seamlessly into how you plan things and execute them with with little deviations. So since then, I started keep on running. So far, I ran 10 marathons, and
Right.
Berlin Marathon is 10th, and 2 ultra marathons. So which were a little different, but I during the whole training and practice, I came to know the mental strength. It is, you need to have a different mindset. So always pushing yourself for extra mile, extra distance keeps you motivated, and also finding the purpose, like why are you running?
Right.
So
You mentioned a couple of times about the output that discipline gave you, which is permeated across other parts of your life as well. Maybe you can deep dive a little bit onto that side. Like, can you give a couple of examples? Like, how does it look like?
yeah. So before started running, we used to like, go for parties. You drink, you eat whatever you can, and the next day you regret, like, why did you do that? And now with having the discipline, you pay attention to what you eat. And I started eating clean, like clean in the sense I completely avoid the processed food. Try to eat the fresh vegetables or meat. Look at the source, like how it is come to the table. And based on that, you have like a good clarity, a confidence you build on yourself, and a satisfaction saying, hey, we have one body to live in, and you have to take care of it.
Right.
And the discipline helps you to regulate how you maintain all these things without sacrificing or putting everything in chaotic order.
Great. I mean, that's a good way to put it. Be conscious on what you put into your body because it goes a long way, and which I think
Long way.
you are living it for sure. The
Yes.
output of it
Yes.
for sure. Now, how did you pick up 10 marathons? I think that was your first, 2007. And then probably somewhere you started to say, hey, I'm going to run barefoot. Like, how did that transition happen?
So 6 years ago, I came across a book called Born to Run by Christopher.
Okay. Yes.
So I was very motivated. I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. And I thought maybe I should run or not. And in 2017, I ran a marathon in Hyderabad, India. There, I came across a couple of barefoot runners. And I was like, how do you guys run? This looks crazy. And they were explaining, hey, you have to train, and you come across certain roadblocks, but again, you need to be conscious how you run. So after coming back, I started switching to a minimalistic shoe.
Okay.
I ran for an year because progression is key. You don't throw your shoe on day one and run
Right.
barefoot. So I ran for 1 year, and then one day I said, okay, let me try complete barefoot. So initially I was like, why am I doing this? But when I remember the importance of why all these things, once you need to know why you're doing this, the first thing is the proper form. Because with shoe, we overlook how you land on your feet. You always
Right.
land on your heel because there's a cushion and it takes care of it.
Right.
But the impact has to go somewhere. Usually, I used to get a lot of shin splints with shoe. I tried different shoes, different brands, but no luck. But with barefoot, I stopped getting those shin splints. That was the first noticeable change. And second thing, the feet muscles, they started getting stronger, and I was having better balance. And even though there were little hiccups in the beginning, like running on a pebble or a sharp object, but the healing power is really amazing. And the third thing I noticed, the grounding effect, because we sitting in desk jobs, you don't connect to the Mother Earth. So when you run barefoot, you absorb all the free electrons on the earth, and it gives you a lot of benefits on health wise, like less inflammation, and a lot of positive vibes you catch. And I started feeling happy when I run barefoot, even though people say like, how do you feel happy? Like, try walking in the garden, not
Yeah.
on the grass. When you connect to the earth, all the positive vibes transfer to you. So when I started seeing these three benefits, I said, okay, let me try 1 more mile, two more miles. And I said, okay, this looks nice. And since then, I started running barefoot and everywhere. So I started running on the sidewalks, which are clean. Later, I started running the trail. And now Berlin is my third barefoot marathon. The first was New York, which was an interesting experience because of the bridges and all the roads in Bronx. And second was Denver, where I got my PR. I ran in 3 hours 30 minutes.
Oh, great.
And the third one is the Berlin.
Oh, great. How long was the transition for you? Say, I started to experiment with barefoot running from minimalistic shoes, and then getting to run a marathon. Say, their first barefoot marathon was New York, you said?
New York.
Yeah. So, like, how long was the transition? Just to make sure
So-
that people get a sense of like they cannot just flip the switch tomorrow and then say, okay, I'm running a
for
marathon.
me, I think the transition took around two to three years to be precise. So starting from with shoe and without shoe, a full marathon, like 3 years.
And I'm just curious, the minimalistic shoes you referred to, like, did you see a significant difference between running with cushion shoes that most of the runners do versus minimalistic shoes?
Yeah, minimalistic shoe, they have a zero drop. And so you feel the pebbles and every change in the contour on the road. So there is a layer between you and the ground. So it's different from with shoe.
Okay.
But again, it's not like directly connected to the earth. So if there is a contour you experience with your feet, but with minimalistic shoe, there is a layer. It helps you from getting any kind of injuries.
I see. Oh, that's great. And coming back to your barefoot, it's a 2 to 3 year journey that you got to, and then you trained for a marathon and ran a couple of them. I wonder what kind of logistical challenge you face, especially in the training phase.
One thing is a lot of cost savings. You don't spend money on shoes anymore.
Shoes, yeah, that's true.
So and minimal packing. Whenever I go for trips, I just need my running shorts and that's it. So I don't need to pack any fancy shoes and all those. So in the logistics wise, there are some known risks like hitting on any pebbles or any rocks. Like it happened in Berlin on mile 18. I stepped on a glass piece and it slowed me down. I lost like 40 minutes because of it. But it's a known risk, no regrets. But just I keep an eye when I go for barefoot runs if the road is clean. And I don't experiment in unknown territories. If I go to a new place, I pick on a known roads. Even I go for a drive, like just to see
I see.
if the road is good or if there are any surprises, because you just plan a little bit and just go for it.
So it takes an effort, or you do put an effort to get to know the road, whether it is suitable for barefoot running, or you have to avoid those parts of the road as now.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yes.
What about the trail runs? Because trail, I would think it'd be interesting to run barefoot, but you said you do train in trails as well.
Yeah, the trail runs are good because you have a mix of dust and pebbles, and most of the pebbles are softer compared to the road. And I feel the trail runs are pretty easy, and you have sometimes get a nice shade, and I like it. But not all places you get access to the trails. So in general, the roads are easy to run if I go to a new place.
Okay. No, that's very interesting that you can pretty much run everywhere. Usually people train and run because trail runs is a lot of folks mix up with regular road running when they're training for long distance runs.
Yeah.
So what are the goals now you're chasing? You ran 3 marathons barefoot. What's next for Krishna?
So next is the Tokyo Marathon in March
Okay.
3rd. Yeah, so I am planning to chase all the six, and my biggest chase is the Boston qualifier. So for my age, I need to run within 3 hours, so I'm still 30 minutes shy away.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it'll happen. But you're running barefoot too, so that's pretty interesting
Yeah.
dynamics there that's playing out.
So another aspect of barefoot running, when I was running with shoe, I was at 10 minute per mile pace, which is pretty slow. Now with the barefoot runs, I hit 7 minutes per mile, which is
Wow.
like 30% improvement. So even when I run faster with barefoot, I don't see stress on my knees or on my hips or anywhere. Just I get the soreness at the calves, which is standard, and the soreness lasts maybe a day or two. The recovery is pretty quick with barefoot runs. The feet, under the feet, it gets a little touchy if I go for a 15, 18-mile run, but day or two, I'm back to the running again.
That was one of the points of the benefits, like the healing power kicks in
Healing power.
pretty fast there.
Very fast.
Well, all the best for Boston, I'm sure. It looks like you're in the right path and you're tracking it very closely. Now, one of the questions that normally I'm very curious about the runners, like you got into running in 2007 or ran your first marathon in 2007. You're running 15 plus years now. I'm sure over a period of time you have built a support system around you, especially if you're running barefoot. There are factors you have to consider, and I'm sure the support system helps you out in that some of those areas. How does it look for Krishna, the support system?
Well, I have a great support at home. My wife is a big supporter, and my kids, when we go for walking, they come barefoot. And my older son, he ran a 5K barefoot. And
Oh, nice.
I try to spread this information I learned over the years and share the knowledge. Because we are built for distance running, and shoes does help, but on the health aspect, barefoot running is the way to go.
Great. And what about the way the races, the support you overall running those races? Is that also helpful, or you found helpful over the years?
So for the past 5 years, I've been running as a St Judes Hero. That's what I'm like.
Oh, you're wearing that. Okay.
Yes, yeah. And there's a big group of runners. Whenever like in Berlin, there were like 40 plus runners from St. Jude. So we met the day before, had a talk about the plan, how we train. And it was a good, tight-knit community. And having that kind of support when you are overseas visiting for the runs, it always helps.
No, yeah, absolutely, especially in a group. Now, you're training for Tokyo, and you're in Illinois.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's going to get cold in upcoming months.
Yes.
How does the training look like in training in cold, especially in barefoot?
Yeah, that's a challenge for me. So I have to train indoor.
Okay.
That's which I'm not a very big fan, but you have to do what you have to do. I'll be doing some elliptical, and found an indoor trail in one of the gyms. So I'll be running on the tracks. Train for the Tokyo. And if the weather is good, I'll try to go for a run, at least a short sprint to get the feet up and running.
Yeah, because I think the part you are in, it snows quite a bit, so it should be challenging to find surface that you can go on for a run. Yeah. Mostly all the spring runs, you'll have similar challenges like Boston or London. Yeah.
Yes.
So at least you have a backup plan now, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
If someone wants to transition to barefoot running that you're doing for like 5 plus years, 3 marathons, how would you recommend that he or she should approach barefoot running?
So I would say just have an understanding, like, why are you doing this? Because once you know the whys, how will become easier. So you need to have a progression plan and start slow. So start with a minimalistic shoe for some days and start going for short runs with barefoot, maybe half a mile to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Pick an area which is safer and go slow. Listen to your body, because the first thing you'll notice how your strides are changing, because your landing changes, your breathing changes, because the body adjusts to this new routine. So
Mm-hmm.
let it evolve slowly. Take your time. Don't
Mm-hmm.
hurry, don't rush, and injuries do happen, but don't consider them as showstoppers. So those maybe little setbacks here and there, but always listen to your body and just go with the flow.
And are there any learnings, because it took 2 to 3 years to get ready for a marathon barefoot?
Mhm.
Are there any learnings that, or I call them landmines that people should be watch out for? Like, hey, learn from my mistake that I did do that you can avoid if you're paying attention to those.
Yeah, the landmines, I would say just be, you need to have mentally prepared to run a barefoot run, especially like a new arenas like the New York, which I was not very familiar, even though you drive around, but still there will be a lot of surprises on the day of marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I ran, when you go on the bridges, the
Mm-hmm.
metal on the bridges, when you touch it, you feel the coldness.
Right,
So
right.
those are some little surprises, but having that mental audacity and the prepare how you prepared you are, it
Mm-hmm.
helps you to overcome all the obstacles. And always pay attention to the surroundings.
Right,
Even though with the distance running we overlook, and when you go into the subconscious mind, you just zone out.
right.
But having the situational awareness and see where you're going to do next 5-10 strides, that helps you to change the route if you see some like pothole or any broken glass.
I see. And it was a learning for you from Berlin, you
Yes,
said.
yes.
Because I know there's a lot of discussion on the cups on the water stations in Berlin. It
Yeah.
looks like you avoided most of them.
And yeah, it didn't bother me because I run at any situation, but the glass piece was a surprise for me because I was not paying attention. I was looking at the crowd and like, oops.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Any other landmines that you can think of the runner should be aware
Um,
of?
just pay attention to your diet. I think it's pretty standard for any runner, and don't experiment anything new a week or a couple of days before. Just have a routine regimen and stick to your plan,
Mhm.
and just go for the race and just enjoy it.
And one thing I think you called out on the three benefits, your strengthened muscles on your legs, right? It's one of the key benefits you saw.
Yeah.
Um, does it change your routine? Like a lot of runners do strength training.
Mhm.
Um, did it change anything for you in that regard when you start running barefoot?
Yeah, I started seeing more balance. Like if I'm running on a thin rod, I you'll be surprised that our toes have a function, because like our fingers,
Mhm.
but with shoe all the toes are constrained, so they don't perform as they're supposed to. So when you're
Right.
running barefoot, they have their own what you call moment of freedom.
Mhm.
If you are walking on different contours, they adjust and they adapt.
I see.
And another thing, I got a compliment when I went for a foot massage. The person was saying, "I feel muscle between your toes. Do you run barefoot?" I'm like,
Oh,
"Yeah."
wow. Okay.
So people notice because your feet is getting stronger,
Mhm.
and as you age, having those muscles activated helps you, takes you a long way,
Hmm. That's
because
that's
these are some of those forgotten muscles because we don't use them
right.
unless you use them.
Because you're always wearing shoes indoors, outdoors,
Yes.
everywhere you go. So not much, breathing room you're giving your toes.
That's true.
Well, just great chatting with you, and thanks for sharing your journey as well
Thanks,
as
Kamal.
the wonderful experience you have barefoot running. Wish you all the best for Boston.
Thank you.
And obviously, Tokyo is next for you. So all the best and training for it.
Sure. Thank you for Kamal. Thank you for having me.